So why am I here, in the desert, holding a helmet with a city-focused SAV? Well, the helmet is to explain why my hair is so bad, but some other things are too difficult to explain. They must be experienced. Personally, I've been confused for a long time by BMW's decision to put the M badge on its X cars. The M badge is supposed to stand for motorsport, and X cars are SUVs. But then I found out that BMW sells in this country 62% of all its cars are SUVs, which means they're effectively an SUV company, and I have to put the M badges on something. For me, still the idea of an M badged SUV is like a racing elephant, but it makes a lot of sense to some people. The latest version of the BMW lineup to get the M badge is the X3 and the X4. They are not SUVs, they are SAVs, which is a difference too small to worry about. But they're not just M cars either, they are M competition. X3 M competition. Now look, I was confused by the fact that M no longer really applies to motorsport, but the competition, that's making it even more difficult. Does that mean there's a racing series that's about to be launched for soft roaders, the Soft Racing Championship? Probably not, but BMW does say that this car is as at home on the track as it is on the road. But honestly, I'd be about as likely to take one of these on a track as I would be to take a dolphin in the bath. So, what's it all about? BMW has brought us here to what it calls M-Town, a place where too much is just right. We're in South Australia, we're on a clay pan, and we're going to experience it because it'll be fun. Let's just imagine that your kids live at the end of a clay pan and you're like, what's the perfect car to get my kids to school in a hurry? What's the perfect car to give my arms that little workout in the morning? Better than Pilates. Look, my triceps, my stomach. I think my stomach muscles are definitely getting a workout from the sideways action. But the seats are good, sporty seats holding me in. The visibility is pretty good. The wipers work if you've got a dust storm, as well as getting you to school on a clay pan in a hurry. Woohoo! It is hilariously good fun. This thing has a new version of the fantastic straight line 6 from BMW, and this version has a twin turbochargers, and it's phenomenally powerful. As you can see, driving on a clay pan is a lot like driving a rally. And the great thing about this car is that even though it is a kind of shopping trolley SUV to look at, it goes like the absolute clappers and steers. Steers like something hilarious and rear-wheel driven. There you go, kids. What's that, officer? If you're wondering what this car's like to drive on the road, so am I. But BMW has strangely decided not to let us drive it anywhere except in M-Town. A suspicious person might think they're hiding something, but luckily I'm not a suspicious person. Good news for the ladies, they're going to let me do a lap without the helmet as long as I go a bit slower. So I can tell you some stuff and you might be able to actually hear me over all the hooting. Okay, so what have we got here? We've got a fantastic interior, carbon fibre sports steering wheel, and on the steering wheel these awesome little two red Take Me Seriously buttons, which are M1 and M2, and you can set them up how you want them, so you can have a bit of sideways action if you like, or you can have driving Miss Daisy. So your left hand is for going to school, your right hand is for going Burko. One of my favourite features though is the Mdm Sport, which has two settings for the four-wheel drive. And as the BMW guy said, we're not going to say that the sportier setting of that means completely rear-wheel drive, but it probably does. So I love that the people at M have been asked to apply their badge to a bit of a shopping trolley SUV, SAV, but they've gone, look at that, we're going to put a button in that turns it into a proper BMW. Rear wheel drive, loads of power, loads of torque, loads of crazy fun ability. The steering also adjusts. You can get sportier steering, heavier steering, or you can keep it nice and light for that car parking. We've got an 8-speed gearbox. It really is a lot more fun than it looks. When I look at the styling of this car, they say it's meant to be sporty and aggressive and M. Frankly, it looks about as sporty and aggressive as my mum in boxing gloves. But it certainly goes properly. So why is BMW launching the X3 and X4 versions of the very serious M competition vehicle together? Well, essentially because there's not that much difference between them. The X3 is the slightly more practical option, a 5-seat wagon effectively, and the X4 costs you $7,000 more because it's a 5-seat coupe, which means you get a slightly sexier roofline and a slightly smaller boot. So this is the boot of the X4, it's 525 litres. You get slightly more in the X3, you get 550. And very shortly it will be entirely full of dust, just like my lungs. This is the back seat, which is surprisingly spacious. I can fit behind myself with my knees, no problem, not touching the seat. Makes it quite light and airy with the sunroof. And we actually had 3 adults across here earlier as we were doing some laps, and we weren't horribly uncomfortable. But I wouldn't recommend sitting back here if you're going to use your car to drive on a clay pan, because you'll be sick. While the basic garden variety X3 and X4 are not the most exciting cars to look at, or even think about, the addition of the M Magic certainly turns them into something to be taken seriously. That's because they are gifted with an all-new version of BMW's 3-litre inline-6, featuring M twin-power turbo technology with high revving characteristics. This is a very, very serious engine, and will soon appear in the new M3 and M4, which are properly exciting cars. The goal was to push it all the way to a 500 horsepower output. That's 375 of our kilowatts, or a lot. And they've managed it, with max power arriving at a very shouty 6,250 RPM. The new power plant also has the highest torque bandwidth of any BMW engine ever, with its 600 Newton meters available from around 2,500 RPM all the way up to near 6,000 RPM. So, what we've got here is a seriously quick city soft roader that can smash its way to 100 km an hour in 4.1 seconds. If that wasn't weird enough, it also gets an active M differential for better power down on your favourite clay pan, an M chassis setup with strut bracing in the engine compartment, just like a rally car, and adaptive suspension. Most hilariously, it has a special M version of 4-wheel drive, with one normal setting and a BMW Sport one, which BMW basically admitted turns your all-wheel drive car into a big, mad rear-wheel drive monster. Oh, and for even more strangely inappropriate fun, you get an adjustable M Sport exhaust that provides an emotional M-specific sound. You can no doubt hear it in the car if I ever shut up. So what have we learned, besides the fact that I have terrible helmet hair? Well, we know that this car is hugely hilarious fun. It is massively powerful, it is playful, it is rear-wheel drive focused for an all-wheel drive car. And if you have a salt pan of your own, you should definitely buy one. As far as what it's like to drive on the road, we'll have to wait and find out.